Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome back to Jash Reads. Tonight, we're continuing on with our dramatic reading of Animorphs number 2, The Visitor by K.A. Applegate. I actually have to adjust. There's an old, rundown church no one uses anymore, not far from the beach. It has a bell tower, although the bell is gone. We flew there. That's where we had started from. Our clothes and shoes were still piled there. 4 pairs of shoes for the 5 of us. Cassie, still in her osprey body, peered down at her watch lying on the floor. Good. An hour and a half. We should try never to go over an hour and a half. We began to morph back into our human bodies. Morphing takes concentration. When you're going from human to animal, it's harder. You really have to focus, but going back to human is easier. I focused on my human self. I formed a picture of myself in my mind, tall, thin, with blonde, shoulder-length hair. I focused especially on the hair, because I didn't like my last haircut. It was uneven at the bottom. Not that it mattered. I just wished I could do something about the hair when I morphed. Unfortunately, morphing doesn't work that way. The changes began quickly. The feathers that covered me began to melt. They ran together like hot wax. In some places, when my skin reappeared, it would have this beautiful feather pattern for a few seconds. My yellow bill sucked back into my mouth to become white teeth. That part sort of itched. It made me want to grind my teeth a few times. My lips grew out around my teeth. My eyes went from pale gold to my normal blue. My legs grew quite a bit, from about 3 inches to normal size. I looked over at Jake and saw the same things happening to him. Let me just tell you, watching someone morph is not a pretty sight. It's the kind of thing that would give you screaming nightmares if you didn't know it was going to be alright. When Cassie morphs, she always does it kind of artistically. Like when she changes into a horse, she does it so it doesn't look totally creepazoid. She has a natural talent for morphing, if there is such a thing. The rest of us just let it happen however it happens. The results can be disturbing. I happened to see Marco at the moment where his hairy boy legs came shooting out of this little bird body, and I yelled, "Yeah! Gross! No, don't look so good yourself, Rachel." His mouth was morphing even as he spoke, so the first few words were garbled and the last were normal. I think what he said was, "Hey, you don't look so good yourself, Rachel." He was probably right. I was glad I didn't have a mirror. My tongue grew fat in my mouth. My eyesight became faded and dim. Nico's mind evaporated, leaving me all alone in my head. My wings became arms. My talons became toes. The scaly yellow eagle legs became my own legs, only they were still all scaly at first. "Nice look, chicken legs," Marco said. Do those come in extra crispy too? I smiled at him. You're not one to talk, Marco. I pointed down at the floor. See, his legs had changed back, but he still had huge osprey talons instead of feet. As my skin began to appear, so did my morphing outfit. Fortunately, after a few tries, we had all learned to morph some very minimal clothing. Usually nothing more than skin-tight workout clothes or leotards. Not enough to go walking around in, but enough to keep us all from dying of embarrassment when we morphed in front of each other. I checked out my friends. They were mostly normal again, with just a few remaining hints that they'd been birds a minute earlier. Jake is kind of a big guy, strong looking, brown hair and serious dark eyes. Although at the moment, his eyes were shining with excitement. Sometimes being in a morph just totally breaks you out. Jake was a lizard once, and he still hasn't gotten over the fact that he ate a live spider. But I guess he enjoyed being a falcon, because he was babbling on and on about how great it was. That was so absolute, he said. It's like now, being stuck in a human body, I feel like I'm handicapped or something. I feel like I'm glued to the ground. And blind, Cassie agreed. Human eyes are so lame for seeing things far away. She grinned and spread her wings. She had managed to keep her wings till the very end. Now she looked like some strange angel. Oddly, the look worked for her. The osprey's 5-foot gray and white wings were incredibly cool. Do you think you could fly? Jake asked her. He looked a little awestruck. Cassie laughed. No, Jake. This body weighs about 80 pounds. These wings aren't built for that kind of weight. She morphed her wings into arms in about 3 seconds and laughed gaily. Marco shook his head. Great. When we morph, we look like some mad scientist genetic experiment gone totally crazy. And Cassie gets to look like an angel. Cassie and I have been friends for a long time. Although to look at us, you wouldn't think we'd hang out together. Cassie is casual to the extreme. The girl just doesn't care about clothing or style. I swear she would wear overalls to a wedding if someone didn't stop her. Cassie lives on a farm and her whole family is massively into animals. Her dad used the barn to run the wildlife rehabilitation clinic, which is a kind of hospital for injured animals. It's always full of birds and skunks and opossums and coyotes and every other animal you can think of. Cassie's mom is a vet too. She works at the Gardens, this huge zoo and amusement park. So maybe Cassie was just born with an instinct for understanding animals. All I know is she's always finished morphing, while the rest of us are still looking like creepy, half-human, half-animal monsters. As for me, well, it's not that I miss fashion or whatever, but I do like nice clothes. I guess that, plus the way I look, makes a lot of people think I'm stuck up or something. People do think I'm pretty, but to me, that's just an accident, you know? Looks are not the important thing. It's what's in your head that counts. And that's what I concentrate on. Of course, that's another area where Cassie and I are a little different. I guess she would say, no, it's what's in your heart that counts. She's a natural peacemaker. If there's ever a hassle within the group, it's usually me and Marco that caused it, and Cassie got us all calmed down. Personally, I'm glad to be back to my regular body, Marco said. The flying part is great, but it's not a good idea to be able to see that well. Why? Jake asked. Look, Jake, how many times have you been walking around the mall or whatever, and you'll see a girl who seems good looking from far off, but when you get closer, it turns out she's a skank. I mean, if you could see this well all the time. Excuse me? I interrupted. I'm sure I didn't hear you say what I thought you just said. I wasn't being sexist, Marco protested. It goes both ways. See, from far off, I look taller than I am. Marco is a little self-conscious about being short. He has long brown hair and a dark complexion, and most girls think he's really cute. But being small bothers him. Your problem isn't with people seeing you too well, I said. It's with people hearing you too well. You look like a fairly smart guy. Then you open your mouth. Marco just grinned. Marco lives to annoy people. He really is extremely smart and basically nice underneath it all. It's just that the boy loves to provoke people. Marco and Jake are best friends, even though Jake is serious and thoughtful and always trying to do what's right, while Marco is sarcastic and temperamental and is the most reluctant of the Animorphs. Marco still thinks we should just give up the battle against the Yeerks and try to stay alive. But with Marco, you never know if he really believes that or just saying it to be contrary. Well, let's get out of here, Jake suggested. I have homework to do. Me too, I said. And I have gymnastics class this afternoon, and I'm totally unprepared. Cassie sighed. It's such a drag. The chores and the homework all come rushing back as soon as we change back into our boring human selves. As soon as she said it, Cassie bit her tongue. She cast a regretful look to Tobias. See, while all of us had changed back, Tobias had not. Tobias was still a hawk. Tobias, who had once had unruly blonde hair and eyes that seemed hurt and tender and hopeful all at once. Tobias had been trapped while trying to escape from the hellish nightmare of the Yeerk pool. He had stayed more than 2 hours in that morph. We had all returned to our human forms, but Tobias was still a hawk. Tobias will always be a hawk. Okay, and that's chapter 2. God. I'm sorry, I'm just yawning. Oh, shit. And again, tea. I called my fiance before recording, which probably didn't help with the voice, like growing all crackly. Before takes, I would drink a little bit of tea, but yeah, it's after a while it just starts cracking. Like I can't take a little sip; it will just ruin everything. It'll ruin everything. No. Okay, that's good. So this chapter was basically just them morphing, demorphing, and then finding out, oh my god, Tobias is trapped in morph. And I did spoil that in the last video, but at the same time, it's like, I would only really consider it a spoiler if that didn't happen at the end of the last book. That's I draw the line. I'll just say that when writing Animorphs fanfiction, morphing is some of the funnest parts. Just because, as Rachel said, morphing goes all over the place. Like, whatever gross monstrosity you want to imagine, it can happen. It can fucking happen. So yeah. I haven't written long Animorphs fanfiction in a while, focusing on Game of Thrones, Resident Evil fanfic, the Ren duology. I have that on Archive of Our Own. And so the main character does transform into a dragon multiple times, but I don't give it the Animorphs treatment of making it all like, oh, this turns to this, and describing in detail. I just basically hurried up for that fic, so I can't wait till I get back into a long Animorphs fic and am able to just imagine everything under the sun happening. Just can't wait. It's probably going to be a little while. So comment below. Remember, no big spoilers, minor spoilers, okay, but nothing big. And like big spoilers are like, oh, this revelation about this character, or we meet this character later on and it's so cool, I don't like the series being without this character. That'd be a big spoiler, but a minor spoiler would have been like there's a romantic subplot with Cassie and Jake throughout the series. Because that doesn't tell you how it ends. It doesn't tell you all the... I won't say. Once we get to that one book, at the one moment, we can talk about it then, but... so, like, general things, comment below, tell me what did you think about this chapter, and also, please comment below and tell me what you think of morphing. Like, if you have ever written Animorphs fanfiction, how do you tackle the morphing? Do you have, like, fun with it? Do you play around? Of course, please like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And also, if you're interested in reading the book, like if this video has generally got you interested in reading the book, click the link below. There's a link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and at the bottom of the post there's a link to the book. So, if you're generally interested, just read it, have fun. And if you're like, I don't want to buy an ebook version, through that link you can also buy it used. So if you want like a paperback version, a physical copy, you can buy that too. And here's the part where I used to say take a shot because I had a shot glass, but then it got destroyed. And so now it's more of a sip a little bit for me. And so if you drink alcohol, find your favorite alcohol, liquor, whatever, and get prepared to take a shot. And if you don't drink for whatever reason, you know, drink some milk, I mean, fucking, you know, tea, you know, water, you know, something actually healthy instead of what the rest of us losers will be drinking. And, okay, for another successful chapter, and the fact that, you know, it seems like Sam's going to be able to cure Jorah from his grayscale in Game of Thrones. Like, let's hope that that's all successful. And just before I take the shot, god damn that fucking transition, you know, it's like, for us who've watched the episodes, like, Sam starts, you know, doing his thing, and then it cuts to Pie, and, like, it took my mind a few seconds to realize that it had transitioned, because I was about to, like, just dry heave. Okay, but I must say, Jorah looks fucking sexy even with grayscale, so let's take a shot, and I'll shove with my fangirling. Oh, yeah. This is the shit. This is the shit. Okay, making sure it's all nice and tight. And until next video, goodbye. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like trying to high five the fuck.